evening. Welcome to the Government News Brief for Tuesday, May 16, 2017. In the news this evening, the Ministry of Public Health's revised local drug procurement system imminent, agriculture to remain pivotal amidst the emerging oil and gas sector, and Green Bartica project to receive boost from the Office of Climate Change. These and other stories when the news returns. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta LaFleur. Here are the details. The Ministry of Public Health had revised the local drug procurement system. The details will be soon announced. Delicia Haynes has the details.
Minister of Public Health Valda Lawrence says that there have been some adjustments made to the drug procurement system. The minister explains that this is expected to rectify the current system which hampers the efficient delivery of drugs and medical supplies to health facilities.
I am planning to have a press conference where we will show it to the press people and get their answers and questions and so on. And just to say, I also wanted them to know that we were not just revising the whole procurement process, but even as we did so, we were taking into consideration the suppliers, the importers, the manufacturers, and so on, to ensure that the process and the requests coming out of the ministry, that it works in tandem with all of these players, because we can't do without them.
During a recent visit to health facilities in Region 6, Minister Lawrence recognized that there is need for the change in the procurement as well as the better management of drugs and medical supplies in the region. Meanwhile, other challenges in the region, she says, are due to the region's health sector not being given priority.
I know that the issues within the region are not only drug related, there are other issues, because I've seen these issues in other regions and they seem to permeate throughout the health industry. So coming into the region, I believe that it has been worth my while. This is just the first of my visit, and what I want to ensure is that we can open that link of communication, have that interaction between the administrators, the doctors, the region who holds the purse, and also to get the region to see it through a health perspective and to approach it that way.
Minister Lawrence has appointed Alex Foster, a regional advocate for social services and welfare, as the new focal point person for the Ministry of Public Health. Foster is expected to liaise between the Ministry of Public Health and the regional health facilities, ensuring that issues are addressed in a timely manner. Solutions to address the ongoing shortage of drugs and medical supplies have been continually sought after by the current administration. A number of initiatives, including the computerization of medical records and drugs and material inventory, are already being implemented. For the Government News Brief, Delicia Haynes.
Agriculture is going to be very important to Guyana despite the emerging oil and gas sector, says Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman. More from Tiffany Rodias.
The government continues to maintain that it will not become dependent on oil and gas when it begins producing the natural resource in 2020. Recently, Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman assured residents of Region 2 that agriculture will remain an important sector to the country.
Rice is going to be very important, grains, even sugar. So we need to continue producing, and government's plan is to ensure that we strengthen the agricultural sector so that we don't become so dependent on oil and gas.
The minister notes that agriculture will attract hundreds, if not thousands, of people who will be interested in the new oil and gas sector. It is for this reason other sectors like agriculture and services are important.
We want to ensure that we sustain who we are as a people, because we are an agricultural-based and cultural people, and we want to maintain that.
The government's development of the oil and gas sector is being structured in a way that does not make the country dependent on that resource alone. Minister Trotman notes that the revenues from oil will go towards developing other sectors in Guyana. For the Government News Brief, Tiffany Rogers.
The establishment of Bartica as Guyana's first green capital town will be boosted by the Office of Climate Change. Find out how in this Neola Damon report.
Bartica Mayor Gifford Marshall says that works to make Bartica the first green capital town has been progressing, but slowly as finances remain a challenge. The town has, however, recently secured $60,000 from the Office of Climate Change, OCC, that will greatly aid its efforts.
Greening initiatives are concerned, we definitely need a lot more resources. I must say at this point in time, I did not want to mention it here, but I can just give you a sneak peek. We were able to secure a grant through the Office of Climate Change of $650,000 US, and we'll be making that official announcement on the 5th of June in Bartico. So we're very grateful for that grant.
Mayor Marshall says that most of the funds will be used to sensitize the citizens about the importance and benefits of a green economy.
I think that will be a great push for us. Most of the monies will go towards studies, of course, in terms of the greening of Bartico and also sensitization. Because we're still struggling to get persons to understand the concept of greening, we're still struggling to take the message out there, and we're struggling because we don't have the resources. But with this grant, I'm quite sure that we'll make some significant strides.
It was highlighted that the capital town is grounded in the philosophy of President David Granger, that Guyana's development depends on strong regions in providing quality public services. Last year, President Granger appealed to the residents to make Bartica the first model town to lead Guyana's transformation towards a sustainable green economy. Neil Damon for Government News Brief.
Internet connection in Maraicabay will have positive repercussions for the indigenous community in Region 5. Isaiah Braffett tells us why.
One of the many issues raised by the residents was a call for internet connection in the community. The residents point out that last year, the sum of $1.5 million was proposed for the startup of the project. Minister Alicock notes that the money for the project is still available at the ministry. However, the residents were advised that once the project is up and running, it needs to be maintained, which will take the effort of the entire community.
Let us say we get 100 people who would use this service. You pay each one of you every month $1,000. That's $100,000. So your level of bandwidth, you could pay probably up to $60,000 a month. But everyone pays $1,000. That's $12,000 a year. And I'm quite certain you could make that. We're doing lumber in here. If you take the revenue from the lumbering, that could help you to pay. This is the type of investment you need. Because what will happen now, your children right here would be able to have access to information.
In addition to providing school children with necessary information, Minister Alicock notes that an internet connection will help develop community tourism, something they have been venturing into.
You would have access to the tourism body to know who and who doing what and how they could sell the package on the internet. And that is knowledge. And knowledge is power. The means is by the internet. Then we would know what is happening in the other parts of this world.
The community is being touted as Guyana's next tourism destination. In March, Maraicabay held its first wet savanna drive as part of promoting its adventure tourism potential. Isaiah Braffett, Government News Brief.
The government will be supporting indigenous communities to return the symbol of authority to village chiefs. More from Delon Sanko.
The move to restore the symbols of authority to Tushau's authority was announced by Minister of Indigenous People Affairs, Sidney Alicock, recently. The Minister and Vice President was addressing Bethany residents during a recent outreach in Region 2.
Years ago, when you go into a community, when a Tushau speaks, it's because he is already consulted and he's been given the authority to say, okay, this is what we are going to do, and you, Councillor so-so-so, or you, Mr. so-so-so, and you, Madam so-so-so, this is what you are going to do. Find your people who are going to help you to make it work. And anytime anybody goes to the community, they go to the Tushau first. And the Tushau is well respected because he has in those days you had a symbol of authority. And we would like to bring that back.
Minister Alicock says that this is provided for under the Amerindian Act under the Free Prior Informed Consent, the FPIC. Hence, the minister is reminding all indigenous communities.
We're sharing it. Some people might disagree, but I believe that if we have a symbol, that symbol of authority, it would give the position. Because when you go to Parliament, you have to bow to the Speaker. whether you like it or not. That is the order. With a GDF officer, big up, you got to salute. This very salute in their what you call it, this karate thing. You got to salute. That is bringing order into the place, and that is what we would like to do for all these communities, so that we come back to law and order and respect for one another.
Over the past years, indigenous communities have been complaining about persons entering their communities without seeking the permission of the village council or consulting with the Tushao of the village. According to the Amerindian Act of 2016, an individual entering a particular Amerindian community must be given permission of the village council to do so. The council has the right to accept or refuse that person entering into their village. However, the Act further states if a person is on official business of the government, the person does not need permission, but rather must inform the village council of the nature of visit. Dalon Sanko for the Government News Brief.
We have come to the end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on GINA's website. GINA has an active Facebook page, and we encourage you to visit and like us so you can be informed as the news unfolds. Do join us tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Renetta LaFleur. Have a great evening.